the scripture that stood out for me, I think it will just be one verse, since we don't have a lot of time. Luke chapter 1, verse 8. I'll just read it from here. Maybe that can share a screen with the scripture.
Okay, let me grab it.
I'll read it as it says, and the child grew, became strong in spirit, and he lived in the wilderness until he appeared publicly to Israel. That's the NIV version. Let me pick the NKJV version. And the child grew, became strong in spirit, and he lived in the wilderness until he appeared publicly to Israel. Who can tell me who this person is? Not to take a lot of time. This person is John. And he was a son of a priest. And that priest was Zechariah. Zechariah was in the league of Gargamel. And as children of the priest, you definitely need to be under a particular maybe rabbi or priest for training and apprenticeship. And for John's sake, God sent him to the desert, and the child grew and became strong in spirit, and he lived in the desert until he appeared publicly to Israel. So the message here is sometimes God takes you to the desert to grow you. He takes you to the wilderness to cause your character to be strong and sharpened, so that you're strong in spirit. And then at a point T, you can appear publicly for your ministry out there. There's a story of Abraham. He tried to fulfill God's promise using human strength, and he attained the Ishmael ministry. So for over 13 years, God was silent. He took him through a retake experience, like our campus students say. And sometimes that retake experience can also be a wilderness experience. And what lessons are you learning in this wilderness experience? What lessons are you learning, or what lessons are you not learning? Sometimes we are complaining in this desert experience, like how I've been most times. Why am I here? Why am I stunted? Why am it's not happening? Why is this not? Why am I the only one who is failing? Why am I the only one who is not progressing? So for John, in this perspective, he should have been under a rabbi instead of being thrown to the desert. And yet he was supposed to be the one preparing the way for Jesus. He was not even having credentials like the rest of counterparts. Imagine priests' sons and rabbis' children should be under apprenticeship. They should be growing in that kind of career, so to say, like Paul. Paul, of course, had his own path, but his path was a very good path, but in the wrong direction. He was persecuting the church. He knew the law, he knew the word, but he was in the wrong path. So the message, even that came through for me as well, is don't waste your wilderness, don't waste your desert. Find out the reason why you're in that desert. It may be to grow you, to sharpen you for something big that God is going to position you. And I, for one, I still feel like I'm in the desert. I'm still learning what I am learning several things. Sometimes you're lost, or you don't have enough prayer in you at one point. But God is teaching you that hear my voice, learn what you're supposed to do, grow in spirit, grow in character, grow in humility, have the fruit of the Spirit. And all these aspects will position you for his ministry out there publicly. But if secretly you're not working on yourself, the desert will continue. That's why the Israelites were in the desert for 40 years. And they kept repeating the same processes. That's why most of them did not see the promised land. I was privileged to have several prophecies over my life. And sometimes when you sing, the years are moving, but I'm not seeing what the prophecy is coming to pass. Like Abraham, he wants to try to match fix the promise of God. You extend the desert time frame, which wouldn't have been. Let's not extend the desert time frame, but also let's not waste the wilderness experience, because it's supposed to groom you to be someone, to be his masterpiece publicly. Thank you very much.